Liz, can you start off by telling myself and my guest about your academic journey so far?
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Jordan. So I started off my research career. My undergraduate was in geology, and that opened my world to everything, everything below the surface. So that's everything from the volcanics to the sedimentary. But I fell in love with paleontology at university, and won the Paleontological Association prize during my undergrad. Then I went and did a master's in paleobiology at the University of Bristol. My undergraduate degree was at the University of Edinburgh, and I did a thesis on the a biomechanical analysis of the biting force of the saber-toothed cat Smilodon fatalis, because I love the intersection between all the different disciplines, because nothing exists in isolation, everything is connected. And initially I planned to go down sort of the macro paleo route, but I had the most incredible professor at the University of Bristol, Dr. Daniela Schmidt, and her discipline were microfossils. Well, not micro, well, yeah, not nanofossils, microfossils, all about foraminifera and plankton. And to discover that something so small has such a fundamental impact on the entire world, and they are so beautiful, just enthralled me. Now, my plan was to do a PhD with Daniela, but I'm from the Channel Islands. And back then, Channel Island students weren't international students, but we also weren't considered UK students. So I was not eligible for any NERC funding, which meant that ironically, I ended up in Germany, because the EU did allow Channel Island students to be eligible for funding. So I went to the Alfred Wegener Institute for Polar and Marine Forschung, Polar and Marine Science, to do an interdisciplinary PhD on the Delta Carbon 13 isotopic signature in the Southern Ocean. And the reason that's interesting is because if it was an unusual signature in both the North and the South Pole, it would tell us clearly that that is a temperature controlled isotopic anomaly, but this only occurs in the Southern Ocean. Now, I didn't complete my PhD in the end for various reasons, including that I didn't speak German when I went to Germany. And although I was doing my PhD in English, I completely underestimated how important and how much time it would take to reach a decent level of fluency with German. I am so grateful for the experience, though, because it was during my time in Germany, being for several years the only native English speaker at my institute, that I discovered that actually what I'm really interested in is science communication, not research. I'm quite an indifferent researcher. I love editing scientific papers, and I love fieldwork. I absolutely adore fieldwork. But the hard bit, the doing all of your lab experiments and your analysis, yeah, that's not where my interests lie. And I'd much rather take someone else's preprint paper. They've done all the hard work, they've baked the cake, and then I get to put the icing on it by tidying it up and making it really readable. And it really frustrated me during my time in research that how inaccessible a lot of scientific papers are. Now, there's a huge change. I find modern ones so much easier to write. We are definitely moving away from that passive voice. And I think that's so important, because actually science should be for everybody. So now I am completely in science communication and documentary making and film and having a tiny social media presence. And I am so much happier there.